Many fail to enjoy the classics, the enduring works of literature, because on reading one, they can't see what it is really about. They are looking for the moral of the story, as it were, but because the enduring works never bear themselves so brazenly, the modern reader is left bewildered, a confusion often placed at the feet of the work rather than one's own understanding. Looking for titillation, they find only a bright and beautiful lady. I was recently asked, upon stating I had read Shakespeare's Hamlet numerous times, what is Hamlet about? I mean, what is Shakespeare trying to tell his audience? Welcome back. It's good to see you again. That was the beginning of a very short article I read after having read Hamlet and one other work that I will tell you about, and this is what I thought. It is an entirely modern impulse to find in any unfamiliar literary character or element some circumstance common to our own experience. I have yet to find in my reading of any old stories the same lust to obliterate everything into some abstraction by way of literary symbol. For example, if a child is told a story of a knight slaying a dragon inhabiting a mountain cave, and then is told later the same story, but then it is a lion that is slain, the child will instantly and rightly object. The adult could easily explain that dragons and lions are both mortal enemies that must be faced and defeated. But the story is not the same, and the child knows it. For a lion is one thing and a dragon is another. The two cannot be reduced to the fact that both are large, carnivorous animals. C.S. Lewis, when delivering his contribution to the annual Shakespeare Lectures of the British Academy in 1942, makes this very point with a similar illustration. He says, quote, "Motifs, machines, and the like are abstractions of literary history, and therefore interchangeable, but concrete imagination knows nothing of them." End quote. We have lost this childhood ability to comprehend imaginative concretes, that a dragon is fundamentally a dragon, a great winged hot worm who is foe to all true knights and captor of beautiful maidens. He may then be associated with allegorical or moral sentiments, but only because his dragonness is concrete, not merely a shadowy representation of that which inspires fear. To ask about every detail of a story the constant pseudo-academic, what does it all mean, is not dissimilar from the madman swaying on the ledge, shrieking the same question to outrageous fortune. Really, all that is meant by such a question is what image already possessed most closely approximates this new image. This is an innocent enough instinct, as you must know roughly what a thing is in order to see it, but this demand is too great. This instinct, if indefatigably entertained, demands that the marvelous be diminished to utility. This inability to entertain new objects is why so many today find reading difficult and the great works unapproachable or worse, banal. We must cultivate the ability to discover and then enjoy new things without dissection. In my recent readings on and around Hamlet, I came across the aforementioned essay by C.S. Lewis in which he makes this point. This essay, entitled Hamlet, the Prince or the Poem, identifies at which point the literary critic loses Lewis. He says, quote, "A good way of introducing you to my experience of it, Hamlet, will be to tell you the exact point at which anyone else's criticism of it begins to lose my allegiance. It is a fairly definite point. As soon as I find anyone treating the ghost merely as the means whereby Hamlet learns of his father's murder, as soon as the critics leave us with the impression that some other method of disclosure would have done very nearly as well, I part company with that critic. After that, he may be as learned and sensitive as you please, but his outlook on literature is so remote from mine that he can teach me nothing. The Hamlet formula, so to speak, is not a man who has to avenge his father, but a man who has been given a task by a ghost. Everything else is less important than that. If the play did not begin with the cold and darkness and sickening suspense of the ghost scenes, it would be a radically different play. If, on the other hand, only the first act had survived, we should have a very tolerable notion of the play's peculiar quality. I put it to you that everyone's imagination here confirms mine." End quote. So the error of the modern critic, and reader often, is fundamental. He fundamentally misunderstands stories. Searching the depths of his own psychology and experience, he comes away disappointed. He acts as the prince's, in this case of Hamlet, he acts as the prince's therapist, endlessly analyzing his tortured psychology in the hopes of saving himself from Hamlet's fate. He's looking for a story about madness or revenge, when what he has in his hands is a ghost story, a story about a man who has met a ghost. He cannot see the night air, the yawning grave, the shrouded castle, or even the dead maiden. He is too intently scribbling away on his pad. He has not grown out of the soil of his childhood wonder. Rather, ripping up his roots, he has transplanted himself in foreign soil. He has not grown up. He has changed, which is not necessarily better and is often worse. If we wish to develop an appetite for deep and rich poetry and prose, we must stop beginning a story by looking for the abstract meaning in it, for many of the old stories have no conception of such a thing. We must first look to the letter suspending disbelief. The images in stories are not symbolic of some abstraction, rather they are the prototypes, the real things to which we attach our meanings, sometimes in error. If you would like to contemplate this topic more, I recommend this essay by C.S. Lewis, Hamlet, the Prince or the Poem, and of course I recommend always Shakespeare's Hamlet. Thank you for listening to that. I hope that was illuminating or at least interesting, if perhaps wrong in some ways. Be interested to hear your thoughts as well. I don't have anything prepared by way of a poetry reading today, so you'll have to forgive me. We have also hit 1,000 subscribers, so here in the next, we'll probably do it after Easter so that we could really enjoy it, have some sparkling wine, some champagne, and a cigar or a pipe. Perhaps actually out of doors would be very nice because the weather is getting nicer. But I look forward to that, and I look forward to seeing you next. As always, thank you again for keeping me company. Until next time.